Hello and welcome to Google Partners Connect. My name is Jean Magalhães and I'm Marketing Manager on the Google Partners Program here in Australia and New Zealand. I'm super happy to kick off this session today. So let me start by saying thank you to all our guests on the call. We really appreciate you taking the time away from your business to join us today and learn hopefully a new thing or two about digital advertising. And to our incredible Google Partner agencies, whether you're joining us from Perth, from Auckland, from Mornington, all over Australia and New Zealand, thanks for making today happen. Well, I imagine a few of you listening in today might find yourself wondering, what is a Google Partner agency and how is it different from any other agency out there? A Google Partner agency is an agency that is actually endorsed by Google. They have earned the Google Partners badge, setting them aside from other agencies as a result of them doing a few things. First, we have identified that they follow Google's advertising best practices. Second, they are Google Adwords certified. Third, they manage and maintain a significant AdWords investment. And fourth, they have proven their ability to help businesses like yours to succeed with online advertising. So no matter where you're joining us from today, you're also joined by a Google Partner agency who is ready to take on your questions and will tell more about themselves, I'm sure, after this live stream. Well, we have an ambitious agenda today. So let me tell you what's in store. First, I will get us started with a deep dive on a few hot trends we are seeing in the market at the moment and list some of the key changes in consumer behavior that matter the most to your business. We will further cover some of the benefits of online advertising and touch on how you can reach your business goals with the help of Google AdWords. I will then pass the mic to Jonathan Marsh. He's mobile solution specialist here at Google. He will then talk about mobile sites, sharing some simple best practices that you can use to optimize your experience, actually the experience that users have on your website, and consequently drive more results to your business. Well, finally, my colleague Rebecca Mason will wrap up the day, facilitating a Q&A with a special guest she was able to meet just last week. Well, so with that, let's get started. Before my next slides, I would like to manage a few expectations with you. And to help with that, I will share some of my personal stories. When I remember my early days at Google, about 5 years ago or so, when I was still working in the Brazilian office down in São Paulo, there wasn't one single friends or family reunion where I didn't hear this question. How do I get on the first page of the Google search results? In my gut feeling now, this is probably some question that is on the minds of a few of you, right? So, but in the case of my family and friends, I knew that being on the first page wasn't actually their real objective. In fact, they wanted their business to thrive, somehow. They wanted to sell more, they wanted to find more clients, they wanted to be more profitable, and things like that. So does it sound familiar to you? If so, I have some good news. Because the actual question we're answering today is, how do I leverage people's online behavior to maximize my business results? We want to help you to understand how this whole behavior has changed, especially after these devices here started being part of our daily lives. The idea of today is not to overwhelm with you with lots of stats, but actually share a couple of rich insights that can help you to shape your marketing strategy and to succeed with digital advertising. Trust me, once you get it right, being on the first page becomes just a consequence. So let me throw back to these devices now. So mobile phones have actually transformed tremendously how we use the internet. In countries like Australia, we actually have over 84% penetration of smartphones. And when we think of usage, this becomes even bigger. So on average, we spend almost 3 hours of our days on these phones. Well, for an ordinary person like me, it was also found that we check our phones on average up to 150 times a day. What are we doing? Almost everything, from texting friends to searching for something we want to buy to reading the news, whatever. But why is this so important for you, right? Well, in this mobile-first world, it has become harder for advertisers to keep up with the pace of this transformation. Plus, customers' expectations are probably higher than ever as well. Starting with something called immediacy. Think of you when you're searching for something on your phone. I'm pretty sure you expect to get whatever you're searching for as soon as possible, correct? Well, with your customers, it's pretty much the same thing. If they're looking for a product and service, that's what they expect. Second, customers online expect simple, easy, and frictionless interactions. Remember, they just want to get things done. In other words, we need to simplify online experiences they have with your business and, well, if that's the goal, if you want them to buy more from you. And third, They can easily navigate through multiple options now. So that means that they are less loyal to brands and more open to whatever is convenient in the moment they need. So even if they know your business or brand, and even if they like you, if they cannot find you in the moment they need, it's very likely that they're going to go to one of your competitors instead. As a consequence of these higher expectations, the decision-making process when customers are buying something has also become more complex. Here's one example of that for you. So oftentimes people use a mix of different devices when they are purchasing something, right? They might search for a product on their phones now, and then check for reviews on the laptop in the afternoon, and then eventually buy using their tablets at night. And the most terrifying thing for us marketers, these customers don't even think about how quick they swap from one screen to another. By understanding the importance of these new behaviors, we at Google created a concept called micro-moments. In essence, these micro-moments are some of those situations when we use our devices to get something very important done. Think of another real-life example. Let's say you are a locksmith. What would your customers' micro-moments be? Probably that time when they realize they lost their keys and they are locked outside their house in the middle of the night. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to search for you to save them, right? So not tomorrow, not in 3 hours, but at that given moment. That said, for advertisers and business like you, it's critical to be there in these spontaneous and intent-rich moments. Simply because these are moments that we know that customers are more likely to buy from you. Now, let's play a video that summarizes this concept for you.
Does it work? And people ask us all the time, how do I get into working?
What a great video, right? So here's a checklist with the things you should consider when translating this micro-moments concept to your business. First, I want you to identify your customer micro-moments. That could be as simple as putting yourself in their shoes, like my previous locksmith example. Second, make sure they can find you whenever they need you and whenever they search for you. And third, understand how they can use the different touch points to buy from you. In case any of this sounds a bit complex, no worries. I want you to remember that you are in a room with an expert Google partner agency, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to clarify your questions after this live stream. Now, let's talk a bit more about the benefits of online advertising. And the first of them tackles one of those points we've just discussed in the checklist: being present whenever customers need you. Like those old friends of mine I've mentioned before, I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with the Google search results. But if you're not, here's another easy example for you. Let's imagine I'm in Wellington and it's getting bloody cold in here now. And guess what? I'm running out of hot water. As expected, I'm desperate to keep my toes warm, so I'll reach out to Google and search for a plumber near me. Another micro moment right there, right, by the way. The first results I'm seeing here are these 3 paid advertisements from businesses that offer exactly the service that I searched for. In fact, Adwords, Google's paid advertising platform, allows you to connect with those people who are actively looking for what you sell. Unlike some traditional forms of advertising, with this type of ad, you can be sure that your message will only appeal to people who demonstrated an intent to learn or maybe just hear more about your product. Does it sound like familiar to you? Another benefit, Digital advertising is great because it gives you a lot of control and flexibility. For example, imagine you run a business whose demand depends on weather, like boat trips. With traditional ads, you pay to advertise your service even on days when it rains or the sea conditions are not ideal. Consequently, it's expected that you should have way lower payoff. By using digital advertising, you can easily start, stop, and adjust your ads. So this freedom gives you the opportunity to adequate campaigns to a real life demands and avoid wasting your precious marketing money. Lastly, and again, touching on one of those micro moments points, tracking. Whether your goal is to drive more website visitors, more online sales, more phone calls, with digital, you can have the tracking tools that will tell you how your investment is paying off. Now that we covered some of the benefits of digital, let's see a few examples of how Google AdWords can help your business. But first things first, I would like to encourage you to reflect about your business and answer to this initial question. What is the most important action you would like potential customers to take whenever they are impacted by your marketing? This could be a phone call, an online purchase, a store visit, or many other options. Whatever it is, I want you to know that every successful campaign begins with a clear definition of these objectives. So here's one action required to you now. Write down the most valuable action you would like your potential customers to do. And please, later today, make sure that whenever you're talking with your Google partner agency about your new campaigns, you bring this piece of strategy to the conversation. Now back to your stories. Still keeping that winter vibes, let's say you run a ski gear rental business in Queenstown, New Zealand. What is your goal? You want people to come by your store, check your gear, and walk out renting something for the daily adventure. And when advertising with AdWords, as you can see on the example, you can use something called location extensions. These are bits of maps information that you can include to your ads, and that will help customers to find their way to your store by simply clicking on your address. Next example on the screen, let's say you are an insurance broker from Perth now, who wants to receive more phone calls with customers asking for quotes. With Google Ads, you can not only drive users to your website, but you also can include another element to your ad named call extensions. This simple but very powerful tool makes it easier for clients to contact you from their mobile phones by simply using a click to call button displayed right next to your ads. Sounds great, right? Especially for complex products like insurance, where oftentimes phone calls they drive more sales than website visits. Moving forward, let's say you are now a retailer whose business objective is to sell things online, like ukuleles on this example. In order to connect with these potential customers searching for ukuleles to buy online, you can use shopping ads. It's a tool that captures customers' attention with a premium placement right above the text ads. Shopping includes highly visible imagery and pricing info, and by clicking through these ads, users are directed to your retail site where they can complete their purchase. Well, for the sake of time, I will limit my presentation to these 3 examples of how you can use the Google AdWords to reach your business goals. However, no matter the industry you are, talk to your agency at the end of this live stream, and I'm sure they will be able to show you more examples of how digital could work specifically for your business. As a recap, here's your checklist again. And if there's only 3 things I want you to remember after my presentation, well, they are. 1, identify those intent-rich moments when customers really need you. 2, make sure your customers can find you whenever they search for you. And 3rd, understand how they use different devices to buy from you. Well, that's enough for me. So thank you for your time today. It was very amazing to be here. And with that, I will hand over to Jonathan Marsh to talk a bit more about mobile sites.
Hello everyone. Over the next 15 minutes or so, we're going to take a look at how you can get your mobile site in the best shape to ultimately get as many customers as possible. This year will be the first that more people in Australia come to Google and perform a search on their mobile phone as opposed to desktops and tablets. So it really should be the form of your website that you're spending the most time on improving. Now, generally, there are 3 areas to focus on when it comes to your website. The first is the content on your site. What is it about your business that makes it unique, that should make it stand out, and ultimately that people should think about when deciding or not to buy from you? That's what you know best, and we'll leave to you ultimately. The second is speed, something we are really focusing on a lot at Google this year, and we'll run through some ways to make your site faster, because there's no point having a great website if it takes forever to load. And finally, what we call UX, or user experience, which is really the sequence and the logical flow of the content on your site, and how easy or not it is for people to find what they're looking for and make their way through your site. That first point around content, the most common mistake we see people make is where the business objectives don't match those of their customer. And for whatever reason, they've laid out their website very much with their business goals in mind, trying to sell more of this or sell more of that, get a sign up, get people to join. Their email list is a classic one. It's often the first thing that pops up to people when they land on your website. Hey, would you like to join our email list? The best websites understand that they should be thinking more for their customer's point of view. What might my customer be trying to do when they land on my website? And the better you can merge those two objectives, your business goals with your customer's objectives, that's the best way to think about the content on your site. Moving along to the second point, performance and speed. We think this is terribly important because of that shift I mentioned earlier, that the majority of people will be using mobile devices this year as opposed to other forms of your website. And too often, with slow network connections or just slow websites, people can't get what they're trying to find and will just simply leave out of frustration, despite them arriving, we believe, often from a search on Google with really strong intent and really meaningful goodwill and intention to buy or whatever it might be. But because of the frustration and the poor experience, that intent quickly disappears and they leave your site. Now, it's hard to grasp this often because when someone's on your website, you don't see them on it. Whereas if it's your shop, or if you've been in a line like this at the bank or the supermarket or whatever it might be, it's very clear that things are slow and it's not hard to understand why people might be getting frustrated. So one way to improve this ability to see what's going on is to actually make a video or to look at your site side by side with a competitor as it loads on a mobile phone. Here you can see we've done it with 4 Google websites, and we'll roll some tape showing the way they load, how different elements come on, and ultimately how long it takes for each site to load. You can see this happening now. Different elements are starting to appear. They're all just about done. You can see that Google Apps was the first to be what we call fully loaded. But from the tape, you can see that some started to show bits sooner than others. And I don't know what you might have been thinking, but this is a key point of frustration, and that if you can allow something to load rather than nothing and then waiting for perfection, research has shown that that keeps customers much more involved with your website and much less frustrated. So what we'd like you to do is to try this for yourself and start to see, okay, what's happening? Where can we make some improvements? One piece of evidence to support this belief we have was some research we did published in February on our Think with Google website. It looked at 900,000 mobile web pages across the globe and looked at the bounce rate of people on these web pages. Quickly, to explain what bounce rate is, it's when someone comes to your site but then leaves from only looking at one page. They don't progress through the website at all. So a bit like walking to a shop, taking a quick look around and then walking straight back out the door again. This is someone who doesn't look at a second, third or fourth subsequent page. And you can see that simply going from 1 second to 6 seconds will double that bounce rate. That's going to severely reduce the number of people that hang around on your website and really going to reduce the number that turn into customers. So you can have the best site in the world, but if it's slow, you're going to lose a lot of people. Beyond bounce rate is the impact on conversion rate. Remembering that a conversion event is anything that matters to you on your website. It could be someone downloading a brochure, looking at a key page, watching a video about something, or ultimate goal of becoming a customer and buying something perhaps. But any of those conversion events are going to be severely impacted as well, not just the bounce rate. And you can see here that reducing that time, that page speed load from 15 to 2 seconds can improve conversion by 30%. That's a lot more customers. not only those business reasons to improve your page speed, but Google cares about speed as well. We want people who come to Google and then get sent to websites to have a good experience, and that means a fast one. So it's a signal we consider as well. Right, so to help you understand how your site's performing and areas you might be able to improve and make it faster, we have a site called Test My Site based on our Think with Google website. And what it will do is simply go to that website, type in the URL, the address of your website, and it will quickly scan that site, look at things that are or maybe not happening to make it fast, and give you a report. Give you a score out of 100. That's really just a checklist, how many of the top best practices you are adhering to and applying to your website. From that diagnosis, you can work with your agency or whoever looks after your website to see where you can make improvements and ultimately improve that speed. We believe in setting measurable goals, and we believe you really should as well. Here are some suggestions around some of the top areas of speed and how quickly things should happen on your site. The first bite is how quickly that first bit of information gets sent, a little over a second for that. The request count is how often your website has to send a signal through the tower or through the Wi-Fi to the servers that actually deliver your site. If you can keep that under 50, that's a good target. We see many websites with that well over 100. The average speed index is the best general metric for page speed and website speed, and that can be found in a lot of reports as well. And finally, the actual size of your page. How many bytes is it? That's a measure of the amount of data that the page contains. It's driven by things like how big your photos are, how much text you have, things like that. On a mobile phone, you don't need as high quality an image as you might on a big laptop or desktop. So think about having smaller image sizes and things like this. And ultimately, the whole page should be under 500 kilobytes. Okay, our final section. You've got your content right, you've got your speed down. Now you want to think about the actual way you lay out the content on your site. We worked with a group called the Answer Lab to actually get some data behind this as well. There's a lot of opinion out there on what makes a good website. But we had a little over 100 survey respondents sit in a room and perform a range of tasks. Things like buy a pair of shoes, book a flight, get a quote for some insurance. And we just simply watched people try and do these things on their phone and observe what they liked and what frustrated them, to arrive at a set of principles that we think is a great place to start when it comes to building or optimising your website. We've narrowed it down to the top 25 that you can find on our Think with Google website or in the follow-up to this webinar. But ultimately, we'll show you a couple now. We won't go through them all. It's a great place to start, as I said, as opposed to you thinking, oh, geez, I think this is going to be important. I think that. Here's some data. Here's some real research that we've found to be true. So one of the things we observed from the people in the research was that when there was too much on a page, it was very hard to find what they were looking for. Unlike a big computer screen or desktop, the phone screen's very small. It's really important to have one clear call to action in the centre of each screen. Don't crowd it out and make it too noisy for your customer. Another insight from the research was that distracting people with promotions frustrated them and ultimately led to poorer conversion rates as well. You can see an example here where the nice, neat, small section on deals. The same way if you think about it in the real world, if you walked into a shop and someone just started throwing placards in your face, would you like to buy this? Would you like to buy that? That's not going to be a great experience. More likely the sales assistant would say, hello, they'd greet you. What would you like to do today? How can you make your website a bit more like that as well? One more thing we observed during the research was that for complex tasks, particularly that quote for insurance, for example, where it's quite an involved purchase or it's a big sum of money, it's a lot of money that people might be spending, they often had a question that they just couldn't find an answer to on the website and they wanted to talk to someone. And that's where a click to call button can be really useful. That's simply a little piece on the web page that someone can tap and go straight through to their dialer and make a call to your business. That way they can maintain momentum, not get frustrated, resolve that particular question, get the reassurance they need, and then either continue the purchase on the phone or maybe complete the purchase over the actual phone itself. Either way, you've been very customer-centric, delivered a great experience to them, and helped to improve your conversion rate. A final element we'll share with you today is what we call choosing the simplest input method. We observed people getting very frustrated when they had to tap in a lot of content. They'd make mistakes, they'd get the information in the wrong field, things like this. Really try to reduce, firstly, the amount of information you ask for, but can it be easier to put it in, say, with a multiple choice or a drop-down menu? Logically think about what can you pre-fill. Something like the geographic location, for example. Most phones can pick that up and share that with you. With the user's permission, you can suggest the suburb they might be in or even the street they're on pretty easily these days. That's going to save them a lot of time entering that information. Okay, so thanks for your time today. We hope it's been a really good way to show you how to improve your website and improve and grow your business from the content you put on your site, making it fast, and then making it logical and easy to use. Good luck.
Thanks for that, Jono. That was incredibly insightful. Now, for a part of the live stream, I'm thrilled to share with you all. I was fortunate enough last week to meet with a long-term AdWords customer of ours, Leona Watson. Leona is Managing Director of a company here in Sydney called Cheeky Food Group. And I had the privilege of asking her a few questions about her business and her experience with advertising both online and with a Google partner agency. Here's Leona. Hi, Leona. Thanks for joining me today. Why don't we get started by you telling us a little bit about yourself and your business and a little bit about its background and story.
Okay, so my name is Leona Watson. I'm the Managing Director of Cheeky Food Events, and we do team building cooking events and parties for corporates and small, medium-sized businesses all around Australia. So it could be for a CEO and executive team, focusing around leadership, to 300 or 400 salespeople on a conference, to someone taking their clients or their staff out for a Christmas party or a bit of a staff reward.
Fantastic. And I'm interested to understand a little bit about the business's history with advertising. How long have you been online and what were you doing beforehand?
Okay, so we've been going for 15 years, so Google wasn't even there at the start. Yeah. So we did very traditional things, inserts in trade magazines, advertisements, good old yellow pages back then, and a lot of cold calling, to get started. That was what we pretty much did to kick off. And then probably about 10 years ago, I think it was, when you guys, Google came on the scene, and, I kind of became aware of it. And
Of AdWords?
Of AdWords, yeah. And I guess sort of felt that, what am I missing out on? Yeah. And back then it was pretty easy. Like, I think I started off with literally sat with a glass of wine and gone on and I think I had 2 keywords or whatever, probably for the first 2 years. And yeah, so I just got started and it because I track everything, like I'm really big on that. So every single lead by phone or by email, we ask, how did you hear about us? How'd you hear about us? How'd you hear about us? And then we track that through to what the conversion rate is, to then what the average dollar sale is by lead source, and then how much we've spent, which equals X amount of profit or not. And Google, and as the years have gone on, the more I put in and the smarter we've got about doing and spending the money, then the more we've got back. Yeah. Pretty straightforward.
Brilliant. Yeah. So how would you describe the impact AdWords has had on your business?
Well, we get lots of leads and they convert, so that's pretty good. And I guess also just the fact that if we weren't doing it, what would we be missing out on? So it's, everyone wants to grow their business. You can't just stay put. You can't keep doing the same thing you were doing last year and expect anything to sort of keep growing. And so for us, it's a bit of a no-brainer because we do track it as well. And, if it was tracking and it wasn't getting the results and the profit, then I'd be pulling the money back. But it doesn't. It actually continues to grow. So keep putting a bit more in.
Do you remember having an aha moment whereby you realised this is the right thing to be doing and putting money into AdWords?
Yeah, so back in the good old days, and it was just me and my 2 keywords, and everything was nice and simple. I literally noticed that we weren't getting many leads in on the Monday and the Tuesday, and I was like, oh, okay. And then Wednesday, Thursday, then Friday, I jumped onto Adwords, and I realised that there'd been a bit of a glitch in I think my credit card had the expiry dated, something like that. And so once I fixed that, the leads just started to come back in again, and that was a real little line in the sand for, oh, this is quite a serious part of my what I allocate to marketing money. And when you're a small business owner, that's out of your own pocket. It's not out of some sort of corporate budget. It's your dollars. And so that was when I started to take it a little bit more seriously and go, oh, I really got to look at this properly. Yeah.
And when you say you started taking it more seriously, what was that journey? I understand you've been using a Google Partner agency.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things happened was Google itself started to become... There's a complexity to Google that's there, which is great because it gives you a lot more opportunities to maximise your keywords and campaigns and times that you have your ads running and all sorts of different things. But it also means you can also waste more money as well. So... And also you spend a lot more time on it, and you need a bit of expertise and knowledge to be able to do it. So what I used to be able to do 10 years ago, I don't know I'd be able to get away with now. I think I was pretty lucky back then. So about 5 years ago, I started using a Google Partner, and what it proved was that even with some account management spend and the media spend, I'd spend a little bit extra. It's actually protecting the original investment of your dollars. It still ended up paying for itself, again, because I tracked it through. And over time, using a Google Partner has definitely shown value because I just don't have the time to spend on that. I need to be out doing other things in my business. And it just continues to become, it's quite technical and complex, and it changes all the time. And I need someone who's on that. And I just don't, there's no way to be able to be on that, in which case I'd start wasting some dollars for sure.
So what's been the impact of using the agency, Google Partner agency?
More leads.
More leads. Yeah.
More leads and more conversions. And like my average spend for an event is like about $7,000. So if I even get one extra sale, that's well and truly paid for itself. So
it's brilliant.
Yeah. You've got to track it though. Track it.
So I'm curious as to how much do you think AdWords makes up of your new business?
Yeah, so it always sits around that 70-80, close to around 80% of our new business. Yeah, so we get quite a lot from repeat and referral, which is great, but it's for the last couple of years, it's been, certainly since we've had the Google Partner as well, it's become a bigger chunk of that new business of people who've never heard of us. And also because timeliness is a big thing now. People go looking for you at a certain time, and that's when they're ready to spend and they're interested and they bother to fill out that form or phone you. They're ready to take action on something as opposed to pushing things out. So Google has become a much more bigger part of that new business because they're ready at that time that they're looking, and if they're not seeing you on the screen and they're seeing someone else, then you're just not in the game. You've seen a competitor like straight through the heart.
So what's your advice to a business that's perhaps wanting to get started but a little bit fearful of where to start?
Yeah, I understand that fear. I think the biggest fear, though, is not being in it. And you can't deny that, people go online to search for things now, and all ages. And business or, whether you're, selling shoes. And you kind of have to be in that game or you're not, your competitors are. And you're really giving money away in many ways. So, and it isn't that daunting. You've just got to take that first step and, just get started, because every month that you don't get started is another month when someone else is getting your leads, and that's just to a business person that the leads are going to, to a competitor, because they'll be up there. They'll be there, and, just get started.
Totally. What would you say if I told you I was turning off your AdWords campaign tomorrow?
Oh, don't. Unless, of course, no, we do. We shut the business over Christmas and New Year. So that's okay. But no, it's just worth too much to my business. And yeah, no, don't do that.
I'm not going to do that. Oh, it's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking to me. It's been lovely.
Great.
Thank you.
It was so fantastic to chat with Leona and to talk about her business, the Cheeky Food Group. She really has an incredible business growth story that I was totally left in awe of. Now, folks, this marks the end of our Partners Connect live stream. It's almost time to hand over to our Google partners in the room with you. Now's a great time to be thinking of your burning questions you may have for them, relevant to your business needs. Our partners are a lot of things awesome, but importantly, they're here to help you grow your business online, achieve business measurement goals. They're certified and educated in our products. They have a proven track record for helping businesses grow and for upholding Google's best practices. So without further ado, at this point, I'll hand over to our trusty Google partners sitting in the room with you to take you through a little bit more about their agency and how they can help you get started online. Thank you again for joining us for Google Partners Connect, and I hope to see you online soon.